Hey, what's up guys, Lord Civic here, and today we're going to be doing a comparison video with the PG27AQWP-W versus the XG27AQDBG, which I no longer have right now. It was a loaner unit from Asus, but I have plenty of B-roll gameplay of both displays to showcase throughout the video for all of you guys. I'm going to be talking about a lot of aspects of the monitors: picture quality, color accuracy, color vibrancy, brightness, tandem, and just so many other aspects that I know is very important to you guys. We've already done a video, basically WOLED versus quantum dots. This is not going to be that type of video. It's going to be more so a direct comparison between the two monitors themselves, but with them being the absolute best competitive gaming monitors on the planet when it also comes to picture quality as well. I know a lot of people are like, hey, should I get the PG27AQWP-W or should I get the XG27AQDBG? Now, with saying that, I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you have any other questions that I do not answer in the video, make sure to put those in the comment section below. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, and I'll hop right in. So the first thing I want to talk about before we get to, picture quality, brightness, refresh rate, on different stuff, is the build quality of each monitor. So as I said, I still stand by it with the PG27AQWP-W. This is my favorite monitor from an aesthetic point of view. I love the silver bezels. They're not distracting to me personally. In addition, when I feel like a lot of people see it in person, they'll see how they're not really that much of a detriment. They look worse than they look better than they do in pictures and videos. When you're actually gaming, it's like you don't even really notice them, but just viewing the monitor as an aesthetic piece, it looks absolutely beautiful, not distracting to me at all. In addition, I love the translucent back. It reminds me of the Game Boy Advance, and then also the Steam Deck limited edition, and so many other devices that use a translucent thing that allows you to basically see some of the parts inside the monitor. It's a really beautiful thing. The only thing I don't really like about the monitor is the stand itself. I feel like that's where the XG27AQDBG wins with Stride. I love the flat base stand. It not only makes it easier to move my large mat across the desk and different stuff. A lot of people, myself included, don't really like the aesthetics of the more spider-like stand. So overall, I do like the PG27AQWP-W, but when it comes to the stand itself, I feel like the XG wins in that category with Stride. Okay, so now let's finally talk about what a lot of you guys even came in this video for. How is the picture quality, the refresh rate, the color accuracy, the color vibrancy, the brightness, and so much more. So first, let's talk about picture quality. In my XG27 video, I spoke about how the picture quality on that monitor was the absolute best that I've ever seen on a 1440p monitor. But when doing my comparison video between that and the PG32, I made it explicitly clear that even though it was a very beautiful looking monitor, I can still tell it was 1440p. Now, a 4K monitor not only just has this crisp look, it also has this almost 3D effect of all the textures and details, or even wallpapers just having this almost lifelike look. Now, the one aspect that I feel like this monitor, the PG27, wins with Stride is that it is the first 1440p monitor I've ever seen in my entire life that at quick glance, or blink and you miss it, or if you just kind of get locked into the game, in some categories it can actually look like a 4K display. And you guys can see that clear as day throughout all the gameplay that I've uploaded, and then also in the review, and then also of what I've said. It is a ridiculously good looking display that almost gives the closest look. It's not 4K, but it's the closest I've ever seen a 1440p get to 4K, and that's because of the True Black Glossy display. The True Black Glossy display, where it's not like a gloss, it's not what's the term? Semi-glossy, that's the term, most of the QD-OLEDs are, is that it allows you to basically see almost the raw image of the pixels. It just looks so clear, and it has that same look that the XG32 UCWMG had that I spoke about in that video last year when I said that was my favorite monitor, and this one ended up coming after, and I didn't even know it existed or whatever, becoming my favorite monitor. But it carries that same form factor and look of almost the pixels look like they're coming off the screen, they're lifelike, even with the Persona wallpapers or anything with water or whatever. It's really something you got to see in person, and I feel like the camera does a good job of capturing it, but seeing it in person, you got to see it to believe it. Now, next thing I want to talk about is color accuracy and color vibrancy. Now, I feel like this is a very, very important aspect because a lot of people have heard that, Tandem has an increase in color vibrancy and color accuracy versus a regular WOLED display, and they just assume that it's going to be like right below a quantum dot display. No, the gap has not been closed that much. If anything, let's say a WOLED display has color accuracy, color vibrancy of like 8 out of 10, and let's say a quantum dot is 10 out of 10. This display more so puts it at like 8.7, arguably 9 out of 10 in some categories, but it's not like 9.5, it's not 9.8, it's not like right on the cusp of it. Even in some cases, I would even say it's like 8.5. The gap has been closed, but it's not like as large as you would think. And that comes into play because there's a lot of people that get quantum dot, are looking at getting an OLED display, and they're like, oh, should I get this new Tandem True Black Glossy display? Yeah, it's going to have a clearer image. Yeah, it's going to have a brighter display. And they're just assuming that the color is going to be close enough to a quantum dot where it's just like, okay, yeah, it's better in absolutely every aspect. But no, that's not true. Quantum dot OLEDs are still supreme when it comes to the color, and really it depends on what is being showcased. When you're doing editing photos or pictures and stuff like that, you're going to like notice the difference in color accuracy and color vibrancy there as well. When it comes to games, it's like case-to-case basis. Say like Cyberpunk 2077, funnily enough, I feel like that one, it's very like close, but then when you play a game like Red Dead Redemption or The Last of Us, where the importance of like, colors and pores and environments, whether it be leaves or grass and other different aspects like that, it's like the quantum dot just wins with like stride. Like it's not even really close. But like honestly, Tandem has done a better job of like closing the gap, and it is better than you would find on regular WOLEDs like the XG32 UCWMG, but it's not closing the gap where it's just like, okay, yeah, it's on the same level of quantum dot OLED. There is still reason to get a quantum dot OLED, and I feel like until that gap is closed a little bit more, especially with RGB strike, which we're not going to talk about that much in this video, whatever, but like those are the different variables that do have to come into play when thinking about like which monitor you want to get. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is brightness. Now, this is where the PG-27, sorry, I'm about to like say the full name of it, but I can't because the video will be way too long if I do. The PG-27, the Tandem True Black Glossy, wins with stride is brightness. Now, the brightness is insane, like 1300, 1500 nits in like some cases. It's like in a 1-2% window regardless of that, but this is the brightest gaming monitor I've ever seen. Like it's a gaming OLED monitor that I've ever seen. It is ridiculous how bright the image gets. Playing games like Cyberpunk with all the neon lights, or Returnal and seeing like the big blue beam go up into the sky or whatever is mind-boggling. It's not on the level of TVs yet, especially with monitors being a smaller form factor. It's just not like possible with the specific hardware and cooling and such like that. But like if you want a really bright image, especially contrasting with the inky oily black levels that come with the True Black Glossy display, this is the monitor for you. It is downright ridiculous how good it looks. Now, in the same vein, I do have to say that the PG-27 is no slouch when it comes to brightness as well. Even though we can only go up to 1000 nits, and this is why it gets confusing, and like there's so many variables you got to take into play, because it's HDR 500, so it's able to get to 500 nits in like a large window, whatever, on the screen, and it can only get to 1000 nits compared to the 1500 nits on the PG-27. But in the same vein, because the color is more accurate and the colors are more vibrant, that's not brightness isn't the only aspect when taking into account HDR. You got to think about the color. Like for reference, the Sony 95L, when the LG G3 came out the same year. Was it LG G3? Or was it? I think it was LG. It was either LG G3 or G4. I think it was the G3. But regardless, with those two TVs coming out that year, even though the LG was the brighter display, because the A95L was able to replicate colors better and have more accurate color and more color vibrancy, in a lot of cases, it sometimes looked brighter. And 1000 nits versus 1500 nits is a larger difference per se, especially with the Tandem. But like, I guess what I'm trying to say is the PG-27 wins the brightness battle, but the XG-27 is no slouch, especially when comparing previous HDR 400 displays. Like, it's bright. It obviously could be brighter, but when combining the colors and all the different stuff, I really wouldn't question if somebody went with the XG-27 over the PG. Now, there's two aspects that I kind of want to talk about that kind of are detriments or like negatives to both displays or whatever. So first and foremost, you guys know I speak about it all the time. I love the Tandem True Black Glossy display. It is gorgeous, not only because of the increase in picture quality, but also the black levels. And you know, it is very reflective. It's a mirror-like display, which is a fault to it. That's just comes with the True Black Glossy. You can account for that with like lighting and all the different stuff in your room. It's never been a problem for me because of specific setup that I've had in my room. But in addition, the XG-27, when it comes to ambient light, can have the kind of like purplish hue on the screen. Now Black Shield, which is going to be on Asus new Quantum Dot 34-inch ultra-wide display, which I'm supposed to be actually getting in a couple of days, is going to basically counteract that when it comes to, I guess, the future line of their Quantum Dot displays. But the XG-27 AQD-BG does not have that, and yes, if you have bright lights or sunlight going into the screen, you're definitely going to get that. Now, on the flip side, with the Tandem True Black Glossy display, gray banding is an issue. Now, for me personally, none of the content that I've done or even on desktop has been like just such a huge problem that I've been like, oh man, this is the worst thing ever, blah, 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 blah. But in some cases, like I've heard, I don't play it personally, but Escape from Tarkov uses a lot of grays and other different stuff, and the gray banding I think is at the like grayscale is like 95%, where it is noticeable at that level, and that has to be something that you have to take into account. And you know, if you get a Quantum Dot OLED, you don't really have to worry about that at all, because it's just like a totally different panel like display. And you know, that's just an important aspect that I kind of wanted to highlight, just, you know, to be aware of it when coming to both displays. The last thing I want to talk about, I think it's the last thing I want to talk about, is the refresh rate when it comes to the displays itself. And, you know, you might be saying, okay, 540 hertz is better than 500 hertz. Like, if I want the highest refresh rate competitive gaming display, I need to get this. And then, no, that's not the case. Honestly, I think I'm not. It's not a negative, because you know I always love technology pushing the limits of what it can do. But I feel like Asus put 540 hertz on it just to have like bragging rights over like basically everybody else that has like high refresh rate displays. Now, you know, it's the point where the input lag is going to be like maybe 0.001% lower or whatever, or 0.01 lower. I don't know a specific number or whatever. But 40 FPS at, you know, 40 FPS at like 60 FPS, you know, 60 versus 100 is going to be a large difference. 500 versus 540 is not going to be a larger difference, and it shouldn't be the deciding factor of getting the display. Not to say that there's other reasons to get the PG-27, but that should not be the deciding factor. In addition, the dual mode that allows you to do 720 hertz at 720p is nice. In my review video, I emphasize that it is not a gimmick. It is a actually really cool feature that works more as a proof of concept more than anything. I personally wouldn't use it, especially since like 1440p at 540 hertz is just absolutely bonkers in itself. And just like the difference of 500 hertz versus 540 hertz, it should not be a deciding factor when choosing which display that you're going to get. I believe that's all the points. If there's not something that I didn't cover in this category of the video, please make sure to put that in the comment section below. And with saying that, let's hop into the actual gaming experience of each display and what they bring to the table in that aspect. So now let's finally talk about the overall gaming experience of both these displays and overall day-to-day usage as well. So first, let me just say, 500 hertz OLED gaming is bonkers, okay? When it comes to picture quality and refresh rate, just like I said at the beginning of the video, there is no two other displays that are better on the entire planet. It is absolutely astonishing the gaming experience these are allowed to give you, especially when it comes to competitive games like, say, Overwatch, Valorant, Rocket League, CSGO, League of Legends, and so much more. I have been playing Overwatch for 10 years now at this point. The highest I'd ever reached, I think in Overwatch 1, was like 3700 SR, which was around Masters 3. In Overwatch 2, I think I've reached Masters like 4 or 5 times since the game's been out. for a couple of years. It's been a couple of years since I hit Masters again, but shortly after I got this monitor, I hit Masters again. And then just yesterday, actually, I hit my highest peak in Overwatch that I ever have. I hit Masters 2. I'm on a custom GM, and this monitor the two monitors are a large factor of the reasoning for that. And the big reason why these monitors are so good is like they don't make a player better per se. It's not like you can just make a bad player good, but it makes a good player even better because it allows them to be able to perceive what's happening on the screen and such in a clearer and more motion clarity way. Like the motion clarity in these monitors is bonkers. Like some of the stuff that I'm pulling off, I'm just like, yeah, no. If I was playing on a 4K 240 hertz display, yes, it would be a crisp image, but like being able to clearly see a tracer close a gap with like 3 dashes and then hold right click as Zen, and then right as she gets up in your face about to like, you know, like left click you just throw every single thing right into her head. It's just like so good, man. Reinhardt ults, Roadhog hooks, everything is just clear as day. You can see the image as it goes across screen. Genji dashes. It's just a beautiful thing to see. And like, you know, the same thing is going to apply in Valorant or League of Legends or, you know, all these other games that allow you to have like a really good picture quality, but also retain that ridiculously high refresh rate. Now, you might be saying, okay, Lord Civic, cool. 500 hertz OLEDs are awesome, but like what is going to be the differential between the XG27 and the PG27? And really, just like I said throughout the video, it just depends on what's the most important aspect to you. Do you like the black levels? If that's the most important aspect to you, are you going to be playing dark games like Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Dead Space, or I guess like even in some cases, The Last of Us or God of War have like dark sections of games and stuff like that, then the XG might be more ideal for you. Or are you somebody that's going to be playing very realistic colored tone games with, you know, like Red Dead Redemption, The Last of Us, Expedition 33, where, you know, color vibrancy and color accuracy, or even Uncharted is going to be the name of the game, then you might want to choose that. But then on the other front, you might want a very bright display, which, you know, in a game like Dead Space that has like the neon lights, you're on a ship, it's very scary, you got flamethrowers, all these guns that emit all these lighting effects. The XG with the bright lights and all the different stuff contrasting with the true black glossy black levels is going to be a sight to behold. And that's why at the beginning of this video I said that, like, you know, there's specific things that I like, there's specific aspects that I look for in a monitor, but in the same vein, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, oh, you know what? I have perfect lighting distance for my room. I'm not gonna have the purple hue no matter what I do. There's no sunlight going on the screen. There's no there's no there's no ambient lights going on in the room. I don't have umbrella lights. I don't have lights from the fan or whatever, or an arc light or whatever that's going to be shining around the screen. Okay, I'll be absolutely fine with the XG27. And then in addition, you know, you got to think about gray banding. In a game like Escape from Tarkov, a game that I don't personally play, but you might play, you might be saying, dude, I want to get the XG27, the PG27. It's a beautiful monitor. It's bright. It's tandem. It's true black glossy. Like, why should I get it? Yeah, I don't want to see gray banding during my gaming and stuff like that. And that's really kind of like the important aspect to kind of think about when getting these monitors. Like, you know, obviously with the XG27, the Quantum Dot OLED, a game that I play so much, Overwatch, is going to look more colorful and the color is going to be a little bit more vibrant on the XG27. But in the same vein, I kind of like a brighter display. I like the added clarity of the true black glossy and such like that. So even though it's not going to be as colorful, for me, that's a better display when it comes to Overwatch. Now, in saying that, you know, there is going to be a price difference. I don't think there's a set price exactly on how much the PG27 AQWP-W is going to be in the US just yet. When converting from, I think, EU pricing to US, it was like $1,000, but it's possible it might be a little less. It's possible it might be a little more. I don't even know the specific price point exactly yet. But regardless, I think you can go with either monitor. I think they're both beautiful. If I had the choice, I would choose the PG27. But then again, that's just because I like the true black glossy display. I like the increase in brightness. None of the games that I play have gray banding. And I like the black levels a lot. But then in the same vein, you know, if I was a gamer that, you know, wanted color accuracy, color vibrancy, and I don't want to spend more money because, like, regardless of the point, I believe this monitor, especially with the dual mode and then, you know, being tandem, is going to be more expensive than the XG27 no matter what. So regardless, both beautiful monitors. It depends on what the most important aspect is to you. And I hope you guys enjoy this video. As I said in the video, if you guys have any specific questions or whatever that you'd like me to answer, please make sure to put that in the comment section below. Also, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and hope you guys have a great day.